Square Enix is in a lot of trouble. It's being reported that they're headed down a very dark path as they've lost $2 billion in value since June, and their upcoming project Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is still months away, but now they're getting destroyed by people calling them out for censoring females in the upcoming Dragon Quest Monsters 3 game. I have a few different things that I want to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media so you can see when my content is posted, and of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and live streams I create, consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. So I wanted to start off with this Sankaku Complex article. It says Dragon Quest Monsters 3 grossly censors and nerfs sexy dancer girl Maya. Now, this isn't very surprising, but it is disappointing, right? Because Square Enix, unfortunately, has gone down a very disliked path when it comes to a lot of the females in their games. Of course, the most notable situation was with Tifa. They nerfed Tifa, they reduced her chest size, they decided to cover her up and add a bunch of like the black fabric underneath her classic costume with the Final Fantasy VII Remake, and we have heard that Square Enix has an ethics department, an internal ethics department that, decides this content might be a little bit too offensive or someone might be bothered by how much skin this female character is showing, and they, just siphon through content and point out what needs to be changed and altered and ultimately censored to make it into full game releases, and now we have to deal with this in Dragon Quest Monsters 3. It says Square Enix grossly nerfed and censored Dragon Quest's sexy dancer girl Maya, arguably one of the sexiest from the series, by needlessly covering up her body in her Dragon Quest Monsters 3 appearance. Now, you might be saying to yourself, she was always a very sexy character. I'm sure that they didn't ruin her, but you would be wrong, because this is the new version of her outfit, and boy does it look ridiculous. As you can see, she's still got the breastplates on, like the bikini top. She's still got her long purple hair, and she doesn't look, bad, except for when you really start zooming in and paying attention to what they did to her outfit. And as you can see, they added needless fabric and the layers of it under her bikini top. You can see that they've added this really bizarre like yellow fabric to cover up any cleavage, any side boob, any under boob, anything that would be, a little bit too revealing. And then instead of giving her bikini bottoms, she is now wearing these like fully covering purple shorts. It just, in my opinion, looks terrible. And the worst part is that nobody had an issue with the way that she looked. Having a female character in a video game wearing like bikini armor shouldn't be an issue, and it wasn't an issue previously for Square Enix. I mean, they've had her with several different appearances in games, and only now she's deemed too revealing and they have to cover her up. I mean, it is just so ridiculous. This is what they have done to our girl. It says Maya, who usually wears next to nothing to show off her body as a dancer better, appeared with shorts under her orange loincloth and her cleavage covered up with a top under her silver bra or boob armor. And this is what she previously looked like. I mean, you can see she definitely was very revealing, but she didn't, hide her cleavage. Like, her cleavage wasn't covered up, her thighs were not covered up. But now they've decided, we're gonna have to tone her back a little bit. And this has not gone over well for them. So this trailer was initially shown at the Nintendo Direct only a few days ago, and it was a very quick trailer, so a lot of people didn't catch on to it immediately. Once you of course start siphoning through, trailers, and you really start paying attention, you notice small things like this. But the Nintendo of Japan YouTube account had posted it, and as you can see, it's getting ratioed. It's got 504 likes to 690 dislikes. And the comments are turned off, but Nintendo of Japan turns all of their comments off, so it's not just because of this, but it is still getting ratioed, and I would ultimately like to see what the comments are filled with. Most likely people being very upset with this decision, but I just talked about Square Enix a few days ago. Unfortunately for them, they are not doing good right now. As you can see, they have lost nearly $2 billion in value since Final Fantasy XVI's release. And it's not because of Final Fantasy XVI. A lot of these journalists are trying to frame it that way. That is not the case. It's because of a lot of their previous failures, like Marvel's Avengers, and of course we have Forspoken. It just happened to be now that it's finally all catching up to them, and in my opinion, I think that they're going to have to sell their company. Of course, the most notable purchaser could potentially be Sony, but we don't know. You know, it's just a rumor right now that's circulating. That video will be linked down below in case you want to know more about this situation. But yeah, I mean, this isn't, it's sad, but it isn't really surprising, you know? I mean, back in 2019, we had to deal with this situation. Tifa's breasts shrunk at the request of Square Enix's internal ethics department for the Final Fantasy VII Remake, and even back in March 2022, we saw their recruitment page boasted about ethics department censorship. So they do have like this internal team that again siphons through their content and points out and lists, you know, what's too offensive. And unfortunately, that just happens to be Maya in Dragon Quest Monsters 3. And I think the reason why that this is happening in both releases is because they are launching these at the same time. They're launching the Japanese version and the, you know, North American / Western version on the same day. It's being released worldwide on December 1st for the Nintendo Switch. So it seems like they just decided to unfortunately censor both versions at once because they didn't want to have to put in that time and that work and that effort to make two separate versions. So now, unfortunately, it's not like you can even import a copy of the game from Japan and get the full content in her and all of her glory. And people are very upset with this. I mean, it is being tweeted about quite a lot on social media or posted on X. People, you know, pointing out, you know, DQM3 is Dragon Quest VI themed, which is great, and you're smiling and you're happy, but then you find out they put Maya in gym shorts. It just doesn't even look good. It just looks so low effort. And of course, there's always going to be people saying things like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, but every piece of censorship needs to be called out. If it wasn't that big of a deal, there'd be no reason to change it in the first place. And it continuously happens. It's character after character, so clearly it is a big deal. People are saying things like censoring her is crazy. I wish they just gave her a completely new outfit or got rid of the boot plates and kept the undershirt. Really weird move. I feel like there is a way to add a little bit more fabric, maybe in a way that just doesn't look so awkward, but again, it's not like I even want that, because I want her to be in all of her original Dragon Quest VI glory. Like, I want her to look super sexy and strong, and having an outfit that is basically just bikini armor should not be an issue. These are fictional characters we're talking about doing fictional things, using fictional magic in a fictional world. Like, it should not be that big of a deal. But yes, unfortunately, if you were excited about Dragon Quest Monsters 3 and you were planning on buying it, I hope that it turns out well for you, but I do think it's important you know that they did grossly censor and nerf sexy females in this game. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.